They're banning sites like Twitter, Facebook, and MySpace. They're saying that these actual sites are killing workplace productivity. So find out if it's true and how you can bypass your corporate firewall in The Loop.
Can't access your Facebook account during your coffee break? Well, you aren't alone. In a new survey of 1,400 companies by Robert Half Technology, 54% say that their work now blocks all social networking sites. Another recent report has revealed that 8% of companies have fired staff over social media misuse, like complaining about their boss or workplace on their Facebook page for everyone to see. Are companies overreacting with the way that they approach social networking? Or do employees just need to wise up and learn how to responsibly use these sites? Tear down that wall. It's The Loop.
All right, joining me all the way from New York to help us make sense of it all, staff writer for CNET News, Caroline McCarthy is here. How are you, Caroline?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you.
I saw your latest Facebook update. I was able to browse from work, so that's nice. I'm glad things are well. Congrats on your farm is budding, and congrats on the Jewel High score. But why are so many companies blocking social networking sites these days? Is it truly a lack of productivity, or is there something else going on?
Well, to clarify, the study says that 54% of companies do not allow personal social networking on the job. That might mean they block it. They might mean they just say you can't do it. The thing is that a lot of companies have been blocking entertainment websites, gaming websites for a while now. So I think social networks are kind of a logical extension of that. The difference now is that social networks like Facebook, and to a lesser extent Twitter, are also a major source of communication and information gathering for a lot of people out there. So they serve a purpose that's not merely personal.
Right. And how would the companies react if the employees actually blocked any work or productivity-based emails or websites from home? I'm sure they'd have a different opinion about this issue, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would think so. Although, I mean, maybe employees would like that.
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, why not? At this point, if they're going to block us from having fun. But, I mean, is social networking the problem that's actually, that's plaguing companies' productivity? Or is it really just a scapegoat at this point? Or they just don't want anybody doing anything with their free time?
I think to an extent it's a scapegoat. I think people are going to procrastinate at the office no matter what. I think social networks are a particularly touchy issue because you think about what Facebook and especially Twitter, you are communicating to an audience that's largely the entire world. It's public. Mm-hmm. If you say anything that is potentially work sensitive, which it's easy to do when you're on the job, you might not even know if you're saying something that's confidential. That could be a problem. So I think it's a security issue as well.
Right, and we'll get to the things that people are saying on these sites as well in just a second. But it seems that people are emailing less and communicating via text messaging or Twitter or even Facebook more and more. So by banning that, isn't that comparable to telling employees that they can't use email or make personal phone calls?
Well, I've got to say, I do know people who have had Gmail or Yahoo Mail banned at the office. Granted, those are mostly people who are Excel monkeys whose jobs suck. So that's too bad.
And how many friends did you just lose by saying that right now, Caroline?
I don't know. I don't know.
See, only 10% of companies admit to letting their employees use social networking sites for anything personal. Do those companies get something that the others don't, or they just maybe haven't caught up with the rest of the companies yet?
Well, I think there's a differentiation that isn't always visible there. So I think that, some of those companies are ones where employees are to an advantage to be able to use social networks because they can find more news or get leads or that sort of thing. And so I think that those companies maybe have sort of a different view of corporate culture and responsibility on the job. I think some companies there, not many, but I think some still just don't get it.
What about sending the message to employees, hey, go ahead and use these social networking sites, use the Twitter, but do it in a way that makes you happy with that personal time you're trying to get out of the workplace, but also, kicks back to the company, like somebody like a Best Buy saying, employees, if you want a Twitter, go ahead and do it for us. Do it on our account. I mean, isn't that a viable approach for a lot of these places?
Well, you look at Zappos, which sold to Amazon for hundreds of millions of dollars earlier this year. They have they made their mark by promoting an alternative corporate culture in which Twittering was encouraged because it was like, hey, we're a cool company. If you're using Twitter, use it and talk about us.
Yeah, and there's you mentioned people leaking sensitive info or potentially getting fired for that. There's people simply getting fired for saying negative things about their boss or their workplace on these sites.
Yeah.
I mean, do companies need to just start, training employees in social networking etiquette during the orientation?
I think that's crucial in some cases. I think that sometimes it can just be chalked up to common sense. And if there is someone saying, my boss is a douchebag publicly on Twitter, maybe you don't want to be employing that person anyway.
Right. Continue saying it privately like you have been for years. That's the way to do it.
Yes, exactly.
And we both work in jobs that encourage social networking instead of opposing it, which is so weird whenever we do these stories. I'm like, really? They don't let people play Bejeweled? But let's say you're one of the growing number of people that finds themselves blocked. What advice do you have? How can they get around this, or should they be trying to get around this?
Well, I mean, if you have an iPhone, you can access just about anything on that. There are some sites and proxies and anti-firewall products that you could theoretically use. However, your sysadmin or IT head might find out about it, and that might get you in even more trouble. But I think generally, if it's your job and if they're paying you, you should probably do what they say.
Damn, I was afraid you were going to say that. But I like that the iPhone's an alternative, though. You want to get a pink slip? There's an app for that. That's nice. Thanks to CNET's Caroline McCarthy for keeping us in the loop.
Thank you.
As always, we appreciate it.